Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. Let's wait for a minute and then we start. All right, I welcome you all to day 6 of our Lust of Linux series, everything you need to know about in order to get started with the Linux. And today is day 6 and today we will learn permissions and ownership. So before I talk about agenda, so far first let's see what we have learned. So day 2 to day 6, to day 5. We already learned about files, directory, user management group, and we have now, I believe now we have very solid foundation for this advanced topic where we are going to learn today about permissions and ownership. So these two topics are very sensitive. These are directly related to permission of the Linux and also more advanced topic. So I would recommend go ahead and make your foundation clear if you need to. Additionally, if you want to, if you're not fan of live sessions, so these are the recorded session. You could go ahead and watch this Linux part 1, 2 and 3 and others as well if you're interested in learning other tools as well. So that's it on this part, and let's come back and see what we will cover today. Today we are going to, like I mentioned, permission and ownership, but in this, if I broadly categorize those two things, so we have permissions as well as we have ownership. So for permission we have command chmod, and for ownership we have command chown and chgroup. Both seems like same thing, but both are different, and many people get confused when they start, especially even when I get started. So I was also confused about this. Why do I need permission? Why do I need ownership, and so on and so forth? So let's explore this, and we will start with, yes, of course, point number 2, ownership, chown and chgroup. All right. So before we go ahead, I would like to mention, if this is our LinkedIn group, if you are interested, if you want to participate in joining the discussion, please join this group over here. Let me share the link with you and quick. So here we go. I have already put this in a chat, and additionally, these are our social media handles, and we are running quizzes series for this Linux series on Instagram. So feel free, if you want to participate in that, to, like, after learning the concept, to check how much or enforce your learning. So you could go on this Instagram page, and you can find the quizzes over there. So that's too much on all of this. Let's go back, not go back. Let's see what we have next. So today's session is completely hands-on. So let's switch back to, not switch back to, let's switch to our terminal, and here we go. So first thing first, as I mentioned, we will learn ownership and group. Okay, so let me first let you know, or let's first talk, why do you need to learn this? Okay, whatever we have learned so far till day 5, it's enough. Okay, if you don't want, if you are just hobby, you want to use Linux just as a hobby, that's enough. You really don't need to learn this. But if you want to explore further what's happened, how the permissions get, or how we control the system, how security actually work. Okay, so Linux permissions, okay, it's So it is not everything about the security, but it is one of the important topic about the Linux security, where you manage about the users, what they can do, what they can do, or what are the directories permissions we should provide them. If something is shareable, how you could share. So like before we learn how we can create user, how we can create group, how we can add user into a group, how we can remove, but that was not enough. Okay, after adding into the group, somewhere we need to allow user, or we need to control what they should do. Okay, so this session is very generalized for, I mean, regardless any field you are coming from. Okay, this concept is applied to uh, all this fields. If you are working, so if you are working on container, then still you have to know about the permissions. If you are working in the Kubernetes, so ultimately you run a container, I mean, you run a pod, and inside that container, where you want to control the access inside the your container, right? So Kubernetes also has its own way where you can do the access control. Okay, but I'm specifically talking about the permissions. Okay, and the ownership. So let's start with first thing. So first, what we will do here, this is my user, and I have something over here. Okay, I have this many files over here, right? So let's do one thing. uh, let's just start with this one. So if we know this command, right? We learn in day one, ls-l, and we know ls-l, what it does, it gives us output in a long listing format. It gives us a more information. Okay, and what more information? So today we are interested in this part, okay, and this part. Okay, these things we already learned before, so I'm not going to repeat it again, but if you want to, go ahead and refer back that day two's video. Okay, so now the thing is, here we have all these files. Okay, and if we see, like I mentioned also, how we can identify files. So here we go. If we see very first thing in this column as a dash, it means it is a file. Okay, and after that we see some letters over here, R, W, then again dash over here. Or maybe let me make a little bit zoom over here so we can focus. What, maybe it's too blurry, but anyways, so this field has a dash, and again it has a R over here, right? Then we have a W over here, similarly dash, then R, and then dash dash. Okay, so all these are collectively called as a permissions. Okay, what permission? So of course, we are very smart enough, we know R it means read, right? W it means write permission. All right, so we have seen two permissions over here. First one is R represents read, W represents write. There is nothing special, you know already this. Okay, then here this column represents the owner. Okay, who is the owner, and owner of the files which is over here. So let me so whatever files or whatever contents we can see over here, so this column represents the owner of this property or this asset or this file. Okay, in Linux everything is file, or in general, you could also say the object, or however you want to pronounce or say. Second column, okay, sorry, the third column, which represents the group. Okay, who is the, I mean, which group it belongs to. Okay, and we know this, who is the, I mean, who has logged in on the system currently, this user. And we are seeing, or we have listed this user's directory, and inside that we find, or we found this many contents or this many files. So by default, of course, this is the owner because this user has created this file. That's why owner is also DSOC cube and group owner. Okay, this is called group owner. I won't say only a group, but I would say group owner is also a DSOC cube. Okay, but we don't have any directory yet, so let's create one directory first, and mkdir, and let's create it over here, day 6. All right, so I have created a directory. Let me clear the screen. And next, what we could do, when we say this temp and sorry, day 6, Okay, so of course it won't give us a permission details, and still we are not able to. So what I could do, I could say, sorry, come on, not dash, L and D. Okay, and this time we have something different than before. Okay, and what is different? Let's do one more thing. We create one file and vim slash tmp day 6, and let's say param.txt or permissions.txt. I just give it a short name, and let's say the sock or the sock text. All right, let me save it. I have saved it. Now if I execute this command again, so here we go. Okay, here we have file and here we have directory. So if you see, okay, let me not make you confused. Let's talk about this first, and then we will talk about the again file. I mean, we will compare, do the comparison later. And if you see over here and here, what do we have? Again the same thing. Instead of dash we have D. So D represents directory, but instead of D, here the permissions are different. Here we have read, write, execute, RWX. Okay, this also has RWX and this also has RWX, right? When we talk about the file, okay, so file has something different thing. Okay, and you might be wondering why I'm telling this three things, okay, in pair of three. Okay, so I always refer this three, I always refer this three, I always referring like this three. Okay, so here the thing is, first one represent your either it's a directory or file, just for us, for human being. Okay, but in Linux everything is file. So here we know, okay, this is the directory, this is a file. But in case of file, we have RW, but in case of directory, we have RWX. Okay, so X represent execute permission. Okay, and here it also represents RWX, read, write, execute. So first three things, okay, or I would say first cluster or first set belongs to this one. Okay, who is the owner of the file or directory. Second one, it represent who or the permissions, okay, more specifically the permissions for group. So in this case, of course, DSOC cube is a group, so it is allowed to read, write, and execute, okay, in this directory. And similarly, this last three bits or last three bits or symbols, okay, or permission in specifically, it represents for others other than owner and group. So those who are, or any user on the system which is not like this, okay, even not a part of this group, how we can check the whether user is a part of a group or not? So we already saw that before in group management, right? So others have read as well as execute permission. Okay, but in case of file, it has only read permission, others. Okay, similarly here nobody has execute permission, so we will talk execute permission later. Okay, but just understand execute, it means, I mean, x means execute. Okay, so this is the only thing to understand in permission and ownership. I mean, there are so many things, but this is where many people get confused. I was also confused. Okay, so I will show you what is the purpose of execute permission in directory and in file. Okay, so we will come on that later, but for time being, this three represents honor, these three permissions for group, and this three for others. Okay, similarly in case of file, we have like this: read, write, and read. So always remember, in case of directory, only others does not have permission to write. It means you can create, you can modify file, you can put some text. We will see shortly, we are coming on that. Okay. And in case of file, nobody has execute permission. Okay. And which is also very nice. That's why many I mean, if any executable things does not cannot directly execute on the system. Okay, you have to specifically provide execute. So I have said several time execute, so it's very important. That's why. Okay, so here we go. Now we understand. In case of directory, the permissions are like this. Only others do not have write permission. In case of file, nobody has execute permission. Okay, and also others does not, or others do not have write as well as execute permission. So this is about the permissions in short. Okay, next, now we will see. So now we have created and we understand, okay, how what is the permission for file, what is the permission uh, for directory, and now we are going to see how we can change this ownership. Okay, so these are first column, this is user ownership, second column group ownership, and that's our topic for today. So very first thing, let me show you -n5/etc passwd. So in previous session we already created this user, and I told you we will using our upcoming session, right? So now let's use this user. We already have this users, and also see what do we have in groups. So we already have these groups. We do not have any custom group. Okay, for timing we deleted last time everything. So we have user QA1, dev1, ops1, and data science or DS1. So let's do one thing. What do we created? We already created in temp directory, right? HTMP. Oh god, we have a lot of things. So let me do one thing. -rf/tmp. Okay, it is okay. Let's not do this. tmp and day6, and we have this file over here. All right. So now I'm gonna switch user, and this time I would use QA1 user, and I have to provide password. Uh, sudo switch user. Oh, my bad. Like this. Okay, so I already provided password. That's why it didn't prompt me again. So now who am I? I'm as a QA user. Okay, and if we see this directory ld, okay, so this user, we already created one file in tm here, right? In this directory we have one file, and yes, this command can works with both. So now it says others can read the file. Okay, we are talking about QA1 user, so which is at the moment other, because it is not, or it does not in a group of DSOQ. Okay, we already checked that before. So this is other, so according to it, it can read the content of this file. Okay, so let's read this cat/tmp day6 perm.txt. Okay, so id okay, anyways, so id subcube text. So we have this. So according to this permission, okay, permission of this file, others can read. So this is about others. So this QA1 user is not part of this subcube user, right? Group, so, sorry, this subcube group, and ownership still holds with this subcube. But it says, okay, I'm very generous and I'm allowed to others, they can read the file. Okay, all right. We read and found, okay, d subcube made a mistake. Okay, it forgot to delete I. Okay, we'll delete this letter. So let's correct and help. Okay, and how we can help? So let's open this file. Instead of cat, what we could do, Let's open this file and make it correct. I wanted to show you something else, but anyways, we remove this. Okay, I remove do letter. We don't want to make a mistake like this of cube. So we know this command, right? Here, okay, colon wq save and exit, and it says can't open file for writing. Okay, press enter or type command to continue. Okay, so we are not allowed to make any changes. Why? Because here we do not have any write permission. We only have read permission. We, it means qa1 user. So we are pretending now we are qa1 user. All right, qa1 user, you are not allowed. So what can be done? Okay, you are not allowed, but you are allowed to read. So let's do one thing. Let's create one file, qa1 dot, let's say txt, though extension doesn't matter in Linux, but still tmp day6, and wow, permission denied. So again the same thing, others only can read, cannot write in this. Okay, and why? So here we already saw, if you see, others read and execute. Okay, I will please hold your thought on execute permission. Okay, I will explain you on in very detail. Okay, but for time being we do not have, or others do not have any write permission. So that's why here we got permission denied while creating a file, even though while adding a or editing a file. Okay, so write, it means when you want to modify a file inside the directory, if you want to create anything inside the file, inside the directory, you are not allowed to. Okay, because others does not have or do not have permissions over here. Okay, so what can be done now next? So to fix this, the write permission in the file, we can change user ownership, and that we will learn the next. But if you, meanwhile, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop in a chat. And if you do not have any questions, then I will continue. So far, all good, guys. It's very important, very important. Okay. So let me again. Of course, it's advanced. I will go slowly. When you rewatch it later, just there is an option in YouTube, you can change the speed to 2x and you will be able to um, grasp the content faster. Okay, but the live session I will explain more again. Okay, same thing, we are talking about others. Okay, we are not worried about at the moment for this part. Okay, let's leave it as is. So we are talking about read and execute for others. Okay, those are not those who are not part of this group. Okay, so, and we saw here write permissions missing in the directory. Okay, and so we cannot create any file over here in dsoc, not dsoc tam day6. Okay, and additionally we do not have write permissions, okay, to modify a file. Okay, how we can inform dsoc user, right? It has made a mistake, it's a blunder, it should not type I. So these are the things explained so far. Nobody has any questions, so I take it as a no, and we will go ahead, and now we are going to fix this. So qa1 user can write something in file and make a correction. All right, so for that we have command ch on, and of course we have a main page as well. That's most trustworthy source for me to get the information. So we will refer this back later, but for time being, okay, this is the help menu. Okay, so of course we will refer it back later, but we are gonna use ch on. Okay, and but one line, change file ownership, or sorry, owner and group. Okay, so Let's make a change over here. So what I need to do, so QA1 user is not it's not privileged user, so it cannot perform such kind of operations, changing or doing anything on the system. So, and the subcube is a part of sudo. Okay, so it can perform something like this: sudo chon, and we want to user QA1, okay, as well as QA1 as a group, and group we are changing for temp day 6 and param.txt. All right, so we have made changes in the permissions. Now let's go back and switch to the user QA1. Okay, and now let's see whether QA1 user is allowed to make the changes. Okay, so first thing we will fix. Okay, but before that, let's use this command echo. We also learn QA1 text. Okay, and we know we want to override the content. Not override, we want to append the content, not the override. That's why we are using this two greater than sign. And which file? This file. Okay, this time no error, and we know when there is no error in the Linux, it means it is, or the operation has executed successfully. So let's, this time what happened, let's check as well as edit the content as well. All right, so our it means QA1 users text are over here. Let's fix this as well. We are modifying it. We have written the content in the file, and we also modified it. How this happened? So let's go ahead and do something like this: tmp day 6 and permission. So what I have done over here, I have changed the ownership to QA1 user as well as QA1 group. So those who are part of QA1 group, okay, everybody can perform this operation. Okay, so now we have changed this. That's why it is able to perform this thing. All right, so that's okay. We are able to modify a file. That's what now we can say, okay, you made this mistake, this okay, we have changed this, and not change, we have fixed this actually. That's okay. But now we are honor. Okay, now we are honor of this, right? So what we can do, we want to create some files over here. Why not? We got very good space, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Is 6, and it says permission denied. All right, so I'm not allowed to do this. Let me see if I'm allowed to make any directory inside this. Not here. Temp dash 6, and let's say QADIR. And I'm also not allowed as a QA user to create any directory as well. Reason, very simple. Okay, I'm not gonna clear the screen, so please focus on this part. Let's make it little bit zoom. All right, so here again we will check the permissions of temp day 6. Okay, because we are creating directory inside it, right? And here if we see again, if you see, we do not have permission on this directory. So we, it means yes, because it is, or this directory is still has ownership of the subcube user and group ownership also the same. That's why we are not able to perform any such kind of, sorry, operations. Okay, so what could be done over here? So here the simple thing, next thing is we can change the ownership for everything. So, but for example, in this day 6, if I have a multiple directory, so what I would do, will I go and execute command for each and every directory to change the ownership? No, of course not, right? So those who built this command, they know this could be definitely a use case, right? So that's why we have something over here, and which is changing ownership recursively. Okay, so how we could do that? Let me clear the screen and come back to the sockcube user. And again, here I'm gonna create one directory, mkdir temp and day6 and qadir. Okay, so we created this directory. Oh, okay, inside day6. But now we know it is created by the cube user, so definitely it has the same ownership for day6, right? If we check something like this, and if I remove the D, so I could see the sockcube has still the honor, I mean, holding the user ownership as well as group ownership by the sockcube user, and that's what we don't want. We want to give freedom to QA users so they can perform whatever they want to. So for that, very simple, what we will do the ownership recursively. So we will change the ownership recursively. So how we could do sudo ch on, only one command we have to remember. Okay, ch for change, o w, and it means on ownership, right? And this time we have to use dash r option. So dash r option, it's a recursive. So we want to give recursive. So first qa one, so first this side represents user, this side represents group. Okay, and where we want to do jump day 6. All right, it's done. And now the user, okay, and I would say like this. Okay, so qa1 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 qa1, and again qa directories also. Okay, everything has been changed. And if I use this option, so here also change. So I could simply say the ownership has been changed, not only this directory, even whatever content. So if you have multiple files, okay, multiple directories, or whatever content you have, when you say something like this, okay, dash r option, when you use it, means you are changing user ownership as well as group ownership, whatever you are mentioning over here for this directory. Okay, so this is what happened over here. Now let's do one more thing. And what is one more thing? Now let's create one file for DSOCube. Okay, everybody is creating our file dsocube.txt, but I don't want to create it over here. I want to create it over here, temp and day 6, and it says permission denied, right? It says permission denied because DSOCube your owner is no more a part of QA. I mean, it doesn't hold the ownership, user ownership as well as QA ownership, right? So yes, but it has a sudo privilege. When it performs something like this, then it is allowed. So that's why root user, I mean, not say root user has unlimited power, but sudo user could perform something like this. Okay, and when I check the things inside this, so you could see it has user ownership and the group ownership as a root and root. Okay, not as a DSOCube. Okay, remember always. So that's why sudo, it means it says, or it seems like, okay, I'm creating with this user, but no, even though you are creating, but you are using the privilege of root user. That's why here the ownership, I mean user ownership as well as group ownership, belong to root user. Okay, so this is about recursively change when you change the ownership. Next thing, there are some scenario where you don't want to change ownership for entire group. Okay, in that case we can, or I mean, how we will do that. So for that very simple thing, yes, again, we will, as I said, we are gonna use only one command, chon, nothing else. Okay. I mean, of course, there is one more command, but we will come on that later. So far, everything is clear, guys. Do you, or if you have any questions? All right. So I take it as a no, and we will go ahead and see the next topic. Next topic is next thing. So let me clear the screen. And this time, as I said, what if we want to change the ownership, only the owner of the directory? Okay, so for that, let me show you one thing, mkdir. So let's create one directory, ops directory. Okay, and lslt, ops dir. Okay, so here DSOC cube holding the ownership of this directory, and group ownership also it has. So let's change this. So in order to change, what you can perform, sudo chon, okay, and give the username ops1 and ops directory. Okay, because we wanted to change the user ownership to this user. Remember, we are aiming to change the user ownership. Okay, let me make a little bit zoom. Okay, so we are aiming to change user ownership. Okay, user ownership to this user. So currently the user ownership is who has DSOC cube user has. Okay, and we want to change this to ops1. But for what? For this directory. All right, so we know the command, and we have written the command, or we type the command. Let's hit enter, and now we know this command by which we can verify the permissions. And if you see ops1 user, now it is a owner. Okay, and now it is a owner, then this set of permissions are applied to this user, ops1. Okay, and what it says, read, write, execute. So it means ops can perform all these things. So let's validate, does it really happen or not? Okay, sudo. Okay guys, so there is one more command I think I did not explain, I did not tell you. So sudo passwd. Okay, why I'm using sudo switch? Okay, let me show you the first command, sudo switch dash, and what was the username, ops1. Okay, so I mean, of course, when we perform sudo, so root user can, when you do not set a password. So for example, you are doing a user administration, okay, or creating a user, and you really don't want to create any password, but still you want to check what is, whether user can perform things or not. Okay, so in that case, you can use this, but we want to change the password and we want to use a password. So sudo passwd is the command to set a password for this user. Okay, and if you are following along, so before executing this command, just check the passwd shadow file for this user. Okay, and once you perform or set the password, then come back, go back, and again check the what happened in the passwd file. So I execute this command, it asks me to provide a password. I have provided the password updated successfully. So now clear the screen and let's go back, switch user, and this time ops1 user. So now it asks me for the password, of course, and now we know ls-ld. Okay, and where is the directory? So directory was created at dsoc, no, not dsoc, home, dsoc cube user, and ops-dir. Okay, 1 second, I need to check. Okay, let me do ops dir. All right, let's test ld ops dir. Okay, so now let's switch the user again. All right, and I think we did not make created any file inside that. Yeah. Okay. So now the thing is, I mean, that permission was acceptable, and yes, that is expected as well. And I will come on that later why. But let's first see. We have made or changed the user ownership to ops1 user, and these three things. They say okay, the user owner, whoever, okay, whomsoever it may concern, okay, can perform read write X permission or read write execute. So let's see if we can perform or create any file. Okay, so what I will do, this of cube. Okay, I think let's check this of cube, not this of cube, ops1 text, and where we want to create slash home this of cube and ops dir. Let's see, and again it says permission denied. Okay, though it has a ownership permission, but still it is not allowed to. So again, this is also acceptable, or this is expected, I would say, not of course acceptable, but also expected. So let me switch the user again to this of cube, and this time what I'm going to do, though the ownership, okay, though the ownership of this directory still has which user, ops1 user, but I'm gonna update something over here. Let's say let's create a file, okay, and this of cube text, sorry, my bad, done this one. Okay, and where we want to create, we want to put this inside this, okay, and I have to give a name of the file, this of cube.txt. All right, so this is, it's been done, okay. And now if I want to add, or I mean I want to read this ops and this of cube, okay, so the content of the file is like this, and when we check the permissions, okay, ops directory, and not the right, okay, let me clear the screen first so we can focus again. So though the ops directory has a ownership with the ops one user, okay, but still this of cube holds the group ownership, and this DSOCube user is a part of this DSOCube group, and that's why it is able to create, okay, and the file user ownership belongs to DSOCube user, group ownership is also the same, okay. Now this is the one thing. Of course I will come on that permission denied thing in a shortly. I'm coming on that, but let me show you more thing over here, okay. So next thing, so far we have, I mean, in this what we have done, we have changed the user ownership, but what only if we want to change the ownership of the group, okay. We don't want to change the uh, user ownership, but we want to change the group ownership. So for that, again, let me create one directory. Let's say dev dir, okay, dev directory. All right, and let's d dev dir. Again the same thing, but this time we want to change the group ownership, and for that we use the same command but in different way. What is different? Let me show you. So dev1, so if you remember when we changed the qa ownership of qa user, so first I have written, I did written like qa1 user and qa1, and I explain you first, I mean this separate column, okay, it separates user and the group, okay. And this time we are, or we don't want to change the group ownership, sorry, this time I we want to change only group ownership, not the user ownership. That's why before colon we did not mention anything. Okay, and now I have to change the dev dir. I've done that, and next do something like this. And if you see over here, dev1 is already changed. I mean, the group ownership has been updated already. Okay, and we already saw that scenario. Okay, the user ops, I mean for ops dir, okay, and for dev dir. Okay, when we change the ownership or this thing, then still it is not able to perform anything. Similarly, if we switch the dev user, okay, dev1, and of course let me create one file inside this home and the sock cube, and here I have a directory dev.dir, sorry, and here let's say dev1.txt, permission denied, and of course, and it is gonna be happen. And similarly it will also for this if you create any directory, if you create any file, here always permissions are gonna deny. Okay, what is the reason? But before that, let me tell you one more thing. I will come back on this again. If we see over here tmp, I'm sorry, not this one, day 6, come on. Okay, so it has QA. Okay, so let's do one thing. We learn the command when we learn about user management, right? So we learn two commands, one user mode, and where I told you A and G together if you want to modify a user's group. Okay, but I also told you another command, group mod. Okay, and it also has something you have to perform like this. So whichever you like. So my personal preference, user mode, because I'm use it too often. So nobody is going to restrict you. It's up to you, whichever command you like. This is my preference because I am used to it. Okay, but I explain you how you could use it. Okay, group mode and user mode. So what I'm gonna do now in this directory, okay, I'm gonna add a user sudo user mode A and G. All right, and group. So QA1 group. Let's add them. Sorry, QA1 is already there. So yeah. So what we are gonna do? Okay, yeah, QA1 and which user dev1. All right, and we know when we check the ownership. Okay, so groups dev1. So we can see dev1 is a part of QA1. Okay, we can also use the same command for updating ops user. Okay, ops1. All right, so now groups ops1, and it's been updated. So this means, okay, now you can also check in /etc group file. Okay, these users are already added. Okay, let me show you quickly. etc group. Okay, so these users are already added in QA1 group, and now this user should be able to write inside the this day6 directory. Okay, so let's check first with sudo switch user ops1. Okay, so let's list what do we have in tmp day6. Okay, we have so okay, we do not have anything, so let's create one file. Touch which user, ops1 user, ops1 dot txt, and inside tmp day 6. Okay, and now check. Okay. Oh, my bad. Okay, what I have actually, yeah, my bad. Sometimes happen. So I mean, when you are creating a file, so you have to provide a path. So I guess. Okay, so now it's correct, and now let me clear the screen and come back over here, and this time we could see the ops user. It has been created. Okay, and which user we also add over here? Tell. Okay, so dev1. So of course, dev1 user is also allowed to do this thing. Okay, so what just happened over here? So let me show you one thing. If you see, so group has every permissions over here. Okay, read, write, and execute. Or let me go over here and explain you this again. ls-id tmp day 6. Okay, so group has permission. Okay, qa1 group, we already added ops and dev both in this, and that's why it is read permission, write permission, and execute permission. Okay, that's why they are able to do this over here. But what went wrong for this one? ld ops dir and ls-ld dev dir. Okay, here we already added, but dev user was not able to do anything in this. Similarly, ops user holding the ownership of this directory, still it's not able to do. Okay, so the thing over here is very simple, and very simple is this: whenever, okay, whenever you are performing the task, okay, whenever you are changing the things, so it also depends on the parent directory. Okay, so here we are doing in temp. Okay, and in temp directory, okay, the permissions are different. Okay, and there where we are doing slash home directory. Okay, and if you see here, the permissions are different. Okay, home directories has permissions like this: read, write, execute. But for group, read and execute only. Okay, and that's why, and when I see this of cube home, and here is the same: read and execute only, do not have any write. Okay, that's why we are not able to, or these users, even though it's gone, this one. Okay, here it has, even though it has ownership, or if you want, I could perform dir, sorry, dev dir. Okay, so you can perform something like this, you can list. Okay, but when I change, let me show you this thing again. And this time I can see. Okay, sorry, but I'm the DSOCube user. Okay, so here the thing is, whenever if you want to perform, but these directories have different permissions, which we already saw over here. That's why we are not allowed, or we are not able to. For example, DSOCube is a sudo user. Let's go to dev1, it does not have permission. qa1, it does not have permission, right? ops1 does not have permission. That is because of this permissions. Okay, which has a home. Okay, it says only execute and read. Okay, you cannot do any right thing. Okay, so for, I mean, how we can fix this? So yes, we can change the permissions, and so yeah, permissions. So that is our actually next topic, but today's topic was completely focused on ownership. Okay, so where we change the ownership. So I already, or now you realize changing ownerships are not enough. Okay, and if I do something like this, tmp, so here you could see it has, everybody has all the permissions. Okay, read write execute for the user, read write execute for the group owner, read write, and here we do not have x. Okay, we will talk about this later, but consider this as a read write execute. Okay, and that's why the color of this one. Okay, when we do something lt in slash. Okay, so let me remove this one. So if you see all the directories, they seem different, our permissions are different, and if you see this has something different permissions, it is also something different permission, but here the permissions are completely different, and it shows like this. Okay, so today we have talked about the ownership, but I didn't talk about the permissions. In next session, yes, I'm gonna explain how we could do this, though it is not secure way, but still I will show you how in this scenario. Okay, how we can modify a permission for home directory, and which is not recommended, just for learning it's okay, and but we will do to learn. Okay, so in next session we will learn about the permissions. Okay, and today was completely focused on the ownership. So let me quickly show you ch on. Okay, so ch on change file owner and the group, and synopsis, it means of course here syntax, right? So options, we are coming, we scroll down and we talk about owner and the group. Okay, whenever you are have any confusion, refer this document. I have explained you. Now if you read this, I believe you will get understanding about this. Okay, and yes, many things we didn't, and only the important thing, I mean everything is important depending on the use case. I wanted to show you something different, that's why I showed you. So especially I explained this recursive option. Okay, in this, additionally there was one more command I was talking about initially. Okay, ch group main ch grp ch group. So change group ownership. Okay, so if you want to perform, or if you have to perform, like if you are frequently managing groups, okay, or modifying or doing some operations on that, then we use this one. Okay, it performs the same. So like when we use ch mode and colon then group name, so you don't need to. Okay, so here these are the option it has over here. Where is this, some examples? Yeah, if you have two examples like ch group staff, and this is the directory name, it says changes the group of this asset or this thing to staff. Okay, similarly recursively you could also use like this, and it says change the group of this and subdirectories to staff. Okay, and in case of on, you also find some examples over here, I guess I saw. Yeah, so this is about the root change, user change the owner of this to root. Okay, but this is root user. Okay, similarly here is also, okay, root as well as the staff. So likewise, but also change its group to staff. Okay, and of course recursively. So yep, here we go. So these two things we have talked about today, uh, and I hope I'm able to explain. If you have any questions, please, I'm here. You may drop them in the comments or in a chat. All right, so I take it as a no, and let's go back. But you know, let's go back and see what do we have next. So This is the key takeaway. Okay, so for whatever I explained, and in that two commands you only have to remember, even though you don't need to remember everything. Ch on, ch group. Okay, if you want to perform operation on user, I mean, of course, you could also update a group. We already saw that. And for group, use this one. So we saw ownership and permissions both. We also change the ownership recursively. We change the ownership of directory. Okay, we also change the only directory owner. We also only change only group ownership, right? And we also saw access failure, and of course I told you the next step. So that was the scenario where permissions, I could have been continue. I thought to explain permission and ownership in both, and I planned that already. But I realized it will be too much if we go in one go. Okay, so that's why today I only explain ownership. In next session, I'm gonna explain permissions. Okay, and that would be a part 2 and day 7 on permissions and ownership. So yes, timing will be announced, and you may get the on our LinkedIn group, okay, on our social media handles. So yeah, again, once again, this is the LinkedIn group. These are social media handles. If you have any questions, please write them. Let me know. And yes, if I was able to explain the concept to you, and this session help you to understand the concept, please give it a thumbs up, support our channel, and hitting a thumbs up button is the easiest way. Okay, and feel free to subscribe as well. And I see you in the next one with ownership, no permissions. Okay, so yes, and stay in touch on the social media. We will, of course, we will see each other next week, and I will explain those. But please do practice, and whatever questions we are posting regarding this on our Instagram, please try to solve those, participate, and I wish you very good weekend. See you next week. Thank you very much for your attention. Until then, bye bye.